just get this right now. There we go. I think that's it. I think we're all hooked up. Let me just... there we go. All these cables in the way. Right, there you go. We've got 3 live viewers. That will do. As you can see, I'm looking spick and span. Dean Wood. Dean, I need my glasses. Can you hear me? Let's have a... And Alison. Good morning, and Alison. Let's just... well, those sunglasses ain't going to work, are they? Let's just get the other glasses out and just see. Dean's joined us. Carl Bunton. I think Dean's going to be joining us at 11 o'clock. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a pickle this morning. Good morning, Daniel Hurley. Yes, I don't know if Alison's watching now. Well, welcome to the Saturday morning live podcast with Johnyboy, and where we talk all good things landscaping, all bad things landscaping. Sheila Islam, how you doing, bud? John Ward, good morning, sir. How are you? Just got to say, as usual, this podcast is supported by the guys at ITS. If you place your order before 7 o'clock, you can get your order the next day delivered to site or to your home. If you spend over £100, you will get your remote control truck if you put Johnny Truck in capitals. Now we've got out of the way, thanks to the guys at ITS. They are smashing it on TikTok. How many of you guys actually use TikTok, and how good is it for your business? Normally, I have things all written out, but I haven't this morning because, as per usual, I'm not organised. The only organised person in this house is our Alison. Well, we went live. Did we go live exactly for 12:30? I'm not sure whether we did or not. We've got 2 guests joining us this morning. We've got Dean, who's hopefully going to be telling us a little bit about plants, okay? So important. How important are plants in your garden? I should be having a little note, shouldn't I? All right, there's the... if you've never joined the live stream before, you don't know, that's the Johnny Truck. There it is, look, with all the branding on there. We've done that a few times now. Yeah, we got... I think Clive Drummond's going to be calling us this morning. But have a look at me now this morning. Just want to show you. This week, I've really felt absolutely warm because I was at man down. Andrew Ashford, good morning. Steve Burrows, good morning. John Wood took TikTok videos with music for us. Few inquiries, especially from the younger viewers. Dean Wood, good morning. Alison says, look at me this morning. Look, got a nice clean shirt on. Gareth Williams, good morning, bird. How you going? I can see, absolutely. Look at me, nice clean shirt, okay, nice pressed trousers, and look at the shoes, look, I got my shoes on as well, so I haven't got shorts on. Look at those shoes there. I'm going to fall over in a minute. Look, there you go. Just in a minute. Yeah, I've got my shoes, looking dapper. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it the case, Dean? Isn't it the case? I knew this gentleman years ago, Billy Lloyd, and a nice guy, an absolute gentleman. And he always used to say, you can tell a man by the looks of his shoes. Looking smart, says Justin. Massive thanks to Justin. Going to get onto that in a minute. There is a vlog that I've loaded this morning very quickly. I'm having a real lot of trouble at the moment because I'm having to do any vlogs on looking dapper. Cheers, Steve. I'm doing any vlogs, any video making, any editing on my phone. I'm using iMovie on my phone. Just get that to one side there. I'm using it on my phone simply because we're waiting for a new computer, and we haven't got this phone actually synced in with... I haven't got it synced in with this computer at the moment, so I'm unable to load things up. We've got people actually sending me a message. Clive Drummond, you are on at 10:45. I believe that you've got the number. If you haven't got the number, we'll have to try and get the number to you, but you should have had the number before. Got to say a massive thanks to Justin of Brick Right there down in Cardiff, a fellow YouTuber. I was a man down this week. I was struggling, and I was getting on with it. I was still doing it, and Justin phoned me up out the blue just to see how I was getting on. And when I told him what was going on, no sooner than I put the phone down, he was on his way, phoning me and asking me for the postcode. He came over to give me a hand. Matt Potter's joined us. Good morning, Matt. My mate up there in Cannock Chase, Have I said that right, in the right area? Yeah, so Justin made his way over. Isn't it great when we're able to build a community? Last year or the year before, I didn't know Justin, and now as a result of that, he came along, gave me a hand, and got on the shovel. He's not used to being on the shovel, so he tells me. But he come along. Isn't that a great thing to do? Isn't that a humble thing to do, to help out a fellow contractor in the time of need? And I needed it. I needed some help. So massive thanks to Justin. And look, it's not about repaying it, but I will be linking up with Justin again in the future. It was always on the cards anyway. So thanks for that. Justin, you're an absolute star. And of course, Dan Wood from Home Garden Solutions in Aylesbury. Absolutely a massive thanks to Dan. He came down and spent 2 days, stayed overnight, spent 2 days with me. This young lad wants to learn, but also he's more than a capable landscaper. But just like all of us, we need a little bit of help from time to time. We all need help. And even me, I need help. And I received it this week. Time is of the essence, isn't it? That's what we always think when we're going to work every day. We're running around, we're rushing around, and it's just absolute chaos at the moment for some people. And that order that we need in our lives, so we're able to slow down and concentrate. I'm on a project at the moment, and there's no way I'm going to be leaving that project till this one is done. It's so important. Unless there's a situation where I can't do nothing on that job due to bad weather, then you make those decisions to probably move on onto another job. So, but look, we're all rushing around at the moment. It's just absolute chaos, isn't it? Like, you know, with getting orders in, we've got to mention this, haven't we? We've got to mention that the distribution and getting cement. Everybody keeps talking about cement. But the story is, I heard the other day that it's difficult now for some of these companies to actually get batteries simply because all the car companies are taking up the lithium. They're buying up all the lithium and actually using it. And as a result of that, DeWalt, Makita, Milwaukee are servicing their home, their country, and making sure that their residents of that country are having it before anyone else. So there's going to be a bit of a wait with the lithium and with the batteries. How soon we're going to get back to some normality, I don't really know. What's your thoughts? I want to know what you actually think. All these questions, all this dialogue that we're having now is to promote good dialogue. Yeah, lithium. Never believed it, would you? All the electric cars, the change in the way we're using things on a day-to-day basis is absolutely crazy. So we've got to actually think about, I'm not quite sure if we could have a time check, Al, I don't know if you're out there. I'm not sure what the time is at the moment because we should be having a phone call very, very soon. H2 has bought all the concrete hardcore up, boys. Massive orders. Just going to deal with something now. Let me just let little Ginge out. There we go. Look, you've got to remember, this channel isn't just for the contractor, it is for the consumer as well. So if you're a consumer, you want some advice or you want to take part in this live stream now by posting some questions, that's no problem at all. Get my glasses on, just going to read what Justin says. That's what it's all about, Alison and John. Yourself has helped me so much. I was so happy to assist. Hey, look, you're an absolute star. And we'll be having a beer at some time in the future with a bit of luck. John Ward says, Justin from Brickwright and Johnyboy showing all how to organise and to plan our jobs and watch and learn, boys. John Ward says, HS2 has bought all the concrete hardcore up, boys, in massive orders. Yeah, I think this is the thing, is during difficult times, and I'm not saying that we're far from it, but we've got this economic uncertainty in a respect because we don't know what's coming next, but also there's certainty because everybody seems to be flying. It's a strange time, it's a strange period, but we will get through it and we will prevail. But as a result of the markets, the fluctuations with the container ships not being able to get in, through the COVID thing, and other companies, that's the thing. There's so many other companies are using those containers to ship products round. I believe that Furniture Village, they've got a huge amount of people waiting for product, and that's not fair on them, is it? In a way that these companies, they want your money, but also they want to get the products to you, and it's difficult for them. And a lot of companies out there are struggling as a result of that. It's even the metal companies. I've literally have ordered a Ivor Williams trailer, okay, and it won't get here till December. They tell me an Ivor Williams trailer, and that's because of the steel. All these companies, all these manufacturers are struggling at this very moment. Clive Drummond says, "Disaster, John. The number's gone missing. Can you get Debbie McGee to send me the number?" Can we send Clive Drummond a number? I don't know. One sec. I'll see if we can get Debbie McGee. Oh, right. Okay. Well, Clive, I'm going to try and get the number because I can't get it up at the moment. If that's a difficult one to do, we'll do that in a moment, Clive. We're on that now. We're dealing with that number problem at the moment. I can't even remember the number. We can lay and fit, and we can lay and fit what we can get. So advice. Clients, adjust your pricing to accommodate that. Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is what we've got to actually think about. What John says is adjust your. He says adjust your pricing to accommodate that. And also, when we go in to see these clients, is that we've got to make them, these potential customers, we've got to make them aware of the problems that we are incurring in our industry at the moment, because they might not necessarily see it. We see it in the landscaping industry because of what the merchants and the suppliers are telling us. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I'm having a bit of a problem at the moment because I'm trying to get a number to Clive, and I can't get it. I tell you what we'll do, Clive. If you're watching now, and we'll try it with this number. If you give the office number a ring, 01633 896 007. Oh, she's done it. Don't ring that. You've had a number sent to you, Clive. That's no problem at all. So what we have to do, all done. I've done it, John. No worries at all. Thanks, Al. Thanks for that. Just to let you know. He called you Debbie McGee. I'm having a shower. Yeah, no, probably. She said that she's done it. All done. So, Clive, when you're ready, if you want to call in, I want to speak to Clive Drummond this morning. I want to hear what he has to say. But look, what I was saying, just to remind you, is that as contractors, what we really need to do, we really need to start thinking about educating our consumer, our potential consumer and clients about what's going on with the lack of products and what's appertaining. If you don't tell them and your products don't turn up for whatever reason. I heard from Glyn Littlewood up in Yorkshire this week that he ordered some Marshall's products. Hey, Glyn's just come up now. He's literally just come up. That's strange, that is. Glyn Littlewood had told me that he'd ordered some products through Juicens of some Marshall's products, and then he paid for them, and they just didn't turn up. For whatever reason, should they be taking money? Should they be taking money if they're not going to deliver? Because the thing is, I know for a fact, and it's happened to me before, they've actually sold my products. Justin from Brickwright says prices are going up. Cavity insulation up 48%. So if you have any work booked up, be sure to advise clients it's going to be difficult. I think people may cancel. Good morning, Lee Andy. How's it going, mate? Have a safe journey up to Scaffold By this morning. 48%, Justin says there. I've heard some absolute horrific stories. I only heard a story last night about sterling board off a carpenter friend of mine, and he tells me that it's gone from like £20 a sheet to £39, £40 a sheet. It's a difficult one. And the thing is, it's when you're giving your prices, and you haven't checked what you're charging for. Clive Drummond says timber, concrete, certain slabs, all struggling, and between 20 and 50%. Some places, it's incredible. Clive, you need to call me now because we've got another call booked in at 11 o'clock. We've got 10:45, Clive. We're ready for you now. A Smith going up 8% every month. E.H. Smith. Who is E.H. Smith, John? Who are they? I want to know. Lee, no problem at all. It's great having all these people now having a conversation. We've got our real regular viewers on here, which is absolutely wonderful. And don't forget mine, a lot of people are going to be watching this after, so they want to share. Here he is. It's Clive Drummond as we speak now. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Clive, I got to say, I just love hearing your voice. I'm not going to use the word dulcet tones because everybody uses it, but I just like to hear your voice. You're so calm and gentle. Good morning, Clive. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, John. I'm good. Just here looking after my young daughter who's keeping me entertained. Say good morning, Mariska.
Good morning.
There we are. That's Mariska with her daddy. Mariska, how are you today?
Are you? Oh, she's just waving.
She's waving. Let's give Mariska a wave. Mariska, can she? Can you? Oh, hello. Just to let you know, we got Clive Drummond joining us now with his daughter Mariska. And Clive, you're doing your bit this morning by the sounds of it.
Yeah, my wife's off working today, John. So I'm doing stuff on the computer, speaking to you, and we're watching cars.
Right, okay. Can I ask what your wife does, Clive? Is that okay to ask?
Yeah, absolutely. She's a beauty and holistic therapist.
Right.
So she does sort of massage, she does nails, she does Reiki, all sorts of things. Yeah, so it's quite an interesting job.
Has this COVID had a real impact on her, you know?
Yes, it has. She's I mean, obviously the lockdown and all those sorts of things. The last year or so has been quite impacting in our industry, but she's starting to get back sort of. My daughter's interjecting. She's starting to get back to sort of doing some private clients, and she works part time in a salon. So yeah, she's moving it forward.
Yeah, Clive, you know, you're on the tools, you're out pricing the industry at the moment, you know, and you're doing your bit, but you gotta play your part, haven't you, with bringing your family up as well. So it must be a great thing to be there with Mariska this morning.
Hello, yeah. Sorry, can you repeat that for me, John?
No, I was saying that you have to play your part as a father, though you've got work to do. You know, you have to bring up your little girl and spend time with her as well, don't you? And you know, when your wife's in work.
If I'm being honest, the last sort of year for us has been quite tricky because there's been a juggle. Obviously, there's been her not working, lockdown. There's a landscaping company being run. There's obviously, as you know, in my yard, the new website. So there's a lot going on. Yeah. But I mean, there is for everyone, John. Don't get me wrong. I'm not getting my.
No, I don't think that it's like whinging or anything. You're just stating the facts of what's actually going on for you. Clive, can you tell us a little bit about you work with Matt with a landscaping company? Whereabouts?
Yeah, on the sort of Surrey-Hampshire border, I suppose you'd say Buzz is located. But, you know, we do jobs, I think, sort of you're up in Kingston this week, you know, down sort of into Sussex and sort of Berkshire, Hampshire. Yeah, we cover sort of, as you well know, you've got to go and work it.
And the silly question is, I suppose, are you busy?
Yeah.
Is it getting too much, Matt? Do you think? Is it getting too much? Do you think it's got ridiculous where it's having an effect on the industry or no?
Sorry, what?
Do you think that the current climate that we're in, this surge of people's requirements to do people's gardens, do you think it's a good place? Do you think it's having? Do you think it'll have a detrimental effect on the industry in some way?
Well, yeah, I think the sort of toss up at the moment is people are busy. Is that kind of debate? Is it good to be busy? You know, you're very busy at this point in time, but is there going to be a crash, say, next year when the aeroplanes get back in the air and people start going on holiday and not spending money on their gardens? I mean, it's always that sort of debate. And obviously, the being busy, as you've said this morning, the detrimental effect on materials.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, John Ward says, we've had to advise all our clients as let me just read this. Let me get my glasses on a minute, Clive. John Ward says for you, and he says, we have had to advise all our clients as per our estimate due to building products increase. We are looking at a price increase because we're booked up until next year. Do you know, last night, Clive, I heard that sterling board had gone up an 8x4 sheet from £20 to £39.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Sort of speaking to Matt, he said he sort of went in and got a couple of sort of wooden posts, and they were double what they were before. It is having an impact on the fact that, you know, perhaps some of these people in the coming months, we've not massively had to yet, but we probably will have to say to them, look, the prices are going to change. I mean, to be honest, we have it in our quote that there's always variances on your job that you've got to take into consideration, but obviously this is unprecedented time.
Clive, if there was a number of consumers actually watching this live feed now, what would you say to them in respect of like pricing? You know, what should they expect off the contractor?
Well, I think it's about being reasonable and being realistic, isn't it? You know, no one's out there to sort of sting the consumer at the end of the line. It's just there is a line of people, you know, whether it's wholesalers, retailers, you know, everyone's having their prices go up, and it will get knocked onto us. And you know, none of us are doing things to sort of put ourselves in debt. You know, that we can't do jobs for free.
Do we show, Clive? Yeah, do we show these clients and explain to them and show them the actual, you know, like the increases, just, you know, by showing them the prices? Do we show them that?
Yeah, we're always in conversation. We're always in conversation. I mean, that's the way it is. I think, you know, there's a difference between sort of having clarity with your customer and not, and you know, right the way through our process, from a detailed quote through to being on site and talking about changes in a project. You've got to have clarity. You've just got to be honest, because, like I say, you can't afford to lose business. And then I guess, sadly, at the last minute, if somebody sort of wants to pull out, then there's plenty of workarounds to replace them with.
Yeah, absolutely. John Ward says, Clive, he says, looking at Kingspan insulation from £80 for an 120mm sheet to 130. Ring 66 says local builders merchants charging £16 for a 25-kilogram bag of cement in Shropshire. £16. That's
unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
£16. I'd like to know who that is who's actually selling that. Jack Knowles says, good morning. David White's just joined us. We've got a few people actually joining us now, Clive. Clive, but without any further ado, because you've got your hands full there, tell us a little bit about, you don't just landscape, you've got some other little business enterprise going on at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of, I suppose, 6 to 8 weeks been up and running now with inmyyard.co.uk. Some of your listeners may have heard us sort of speak about it previously. Essentially, it's a website for buying and selling materials, machinery, tools and equipment. So funnily enough, obviously at this point in time, we're sort of encouraging people. There's certainly a free option you can use if you're a tradesperson or a DIYer. Jump on there and get selling, because as an industry, we're struggling for material. So if you've got a yard and you've got a load of slabs sitting around in it, get them on there.
Right, so like for me, I remember years ago, Clive, and I don't do it so much now because I've really controlled it. I remember actually and having a pricing exercise once, going around what I actually had stocked up. The wood was incredible, and it worked out something like, when I added it, it was something ridiculous. The blocks, the bricks, and I literally sat down and wrote it all out. It was like £1,200 worth of materials in stock.
Yeah, and the thing with that is, strangely enough, John, we over the last sort of couple of weeks, we've sold sort of 4 or 5 items that are all quite random. You know, Matt's had lots of them in his yard for a period of time. Some you can't even get anymore, and people have found us on Google and sort of driven up to an hour to collect them.
Yeah, David White says we not had to change on postfix, and we buy Arctic load at a time. David White, I can actually put onto a company called Max Reet Their products half the weight, same price, same strength, same volume. Clive, so really, let's just like sum this up. So at the moment, you've got a website where somebody can go on there, they can join. Is it like a club? A membership?
Yeah, I mean, there's membership. There's a free option, as I say, which we have to stress, and a lot of people are taking that up. We wanted to have a busy community first, and then obviously, hopefully, entice some companies to get involved so we can sort of pass down discounts, etc., to the end consumer. But yeah, I mean, essentially, if you're the man on the ground, you've got a few blocks, you've got an old drill you want to sell, whatever it might be, get it on there because there are people buying. We know that straight away ourselves. You know, there are people buying these items for themselves to save some money. So you're helping the landscaping, the building community as a whole.
Yeah, would you say that like guys are using it local as well because they can go around, they can go on the site, have a look, see what's available because it only takes 5 minutes just to have a look, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally 5 minutes to jump on there. Obviously, it's early stages, so it's going to take a while to get where we want it to, so it's totally local. But at the moment, there's a mixture of some sort of, as I say, landscaping products, different bricks, construction bits and pieces, and an artificial grass company, you know, there's a paving company that they will deliver throughout the UK. So it's not just local. The idea is you can search locally, you will be able to, obviously the busier the site gets, the more there's going to be within your locality.
Clive, would you...
But yeah, we're getting there. The wheels are in motion, and we just want as many people to jump on board as possible. And as I say, there's a free option. Yeah,
so what Clive's saying, they've got the site, it's called In My Yard, is it .co.uk?
Yeah, inmyyard.co.uk, that's correct, John.
Yeah, inmyyard.co.uk, you can get on there, you can join, it's a free listing, you can get on there, and you can search materials, and of course they can put their materials on there as well, can't they?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing, you know, what you've been talking about today sums out nicely. People are struggling to get hold of materials, so if you've got something in your yard that can help them, get it on there. If you don't need it, get it on there, make yourself some money and help someone else out.
Well, lovely words, great words from Clive Drummond. Clive, thanks for joining. Will you be so kind to maybe share a link on this video after of your In My Yard?
I think I tried before, John, but I think it got taken off. I'll have a go.
Yeah, I think if you once the video's loaded, you can go into the comments and comment then. So
I will do.
Yeah, it won't be on the live stream.
I'll give it a whirl.
So what's the plan for you and Mariska for the rest of the day, young Clive Drummond?
Try and I think we're going to do a bit of colouring, depending on the weather. Maybe get out for a little stroll. You know, stretch our legs. Yeah, you know, just take it easy, I think, John. It's nice to have a bit of a relaxed day.
Yeah, absolutely. Clive, it's been absolutely... I'd love you to come back on again. Give our love to Mariska. Mariska, have a lovely weekend, sweetheart, and be a good girl.
Say goodbye, Mariska. You say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. I'm waving.
Say goodbye.
Okay, Clive. Be lucky. Be lucky. Take care, bud.
Take care of you.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you are. There you have it. That was Clive Drummond with his little girl called Mariska. He's doing his dad thing today. He's home looking after his little girl, and there's nothing better than that. Clive, thanks very much for joining. If we can get Clive's link on here at later at some point, that'd be absolutely great. inmyyard.co.uk. You can go on there. It's a free listing. You can list your products. And you can also look for other products as well that you're looking for. And certainly at the moment, I keep getting told by a lot of people products are becoming short, they're becoming expensive. I can't believe that was £16 for a bag of cement in Shropshire. Absolutely beyond. Isn't it bad, isn't it? That people, if that is the case, that people are taking, is that taking full advantage of something that you shouldn't be doing? And taking, is that bad? I think it is bad. Well, we got another caller coming in soon, Dean Word. We're going to be talking about plants. Just going to read what Justin says there. I think the merchant should leave a quantity for the smaller companies. It's not on, mate. I totally agree. John Ward says, yeah, Justin, as H2 has wiped out all the building products. Yeah. Hey, a lot of things happening at the moment, a lot of strange things. Daniel Price agreed with Justin. That would be much more fair to help support smaller companies. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just hoping that I know we've got this COVID thing and we want things to return back to normal, but as the wheels of commerce start to roll, things start to level out again. That's what I'm hoping for. Every day when I get up, I think about this, and it's if you think about it too much, it can be depressing, can't it? And not good at all. Yeah, there you go. It's a tough one, isn't it? I don't know what you actually think. If you've got any problems with any products that you can't get, just drop me a message and we'll post it. We'll talk about it, and hopefully somebody will see what you're looking for, may be able to help. The problem is if someone wants more than you sell to them. HS2 needs millions of tons of everything. John Ward. Dean Wood says, ready when you are, John. Dean, I'm ready and waiting. Give us a call. We're having Dean Wood be giving us a call, and I'm going to be talking about plants again because it's a passion of mine, and I should have learned loads more about it years ago because I was brought up in the fields, in the countryside. I am a country boy at heart. So we'll just wait for Dean Wood to come in. How important is it to put plants in the garden? And again, can you get plants? Can you order plants? Where can we get plants from? Is there a plant shortage at the moment? I know with the Italian stock, there was a problem last year or the year before with the RHS with that Zyala. We got a call coming in. I think this is Dean. Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
Who have we got here now?
This is Dean.
Hi, Dean. I know, mate. How you doing? Good to join. Good for you to join us this morning. Thanks very much for joining the podcast. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about plants, and I'm going to do a bit of landscaping afterwards. I've got a friend just bought a new house and needs to do a little bit of turfing and stuff.
Right.
Absolutely nothing about gardens, so yeah, I'm limbering up at the same time as talking to you, getting ready to work the old muscles.
Right. Okay. Dean, tell us a little bit, just quickly, who you are and your qualifications, your history in this horticultural world that you're in.
Yeah, no problem, John. So my name's Dean Wood. Bit of a career change in my late 20s. Went on an apprenticeship into horticulture. Worked at Chatsworth House in Derbyshire. That's where I did my training. Was very lucky to be able to go and work then in Norfolk at a place called Holcombe Hall, one of the treasure houses. Eventually, I became head gardener there for a number of years. More recently, I've moved back up to work for the National Trust at a place called Clumber Park in Nottinghamshire. So that's where I currently am. Qualifications-wise, I've done most of the horticultural qualifications, so the RHS, right from the sort of junior levels right the way through to the advanced diploma. Numerous tickets and tool licenses and stuff. And I'm just about to complete a garden design postgraduate diploma as well. So I would describe myself as probably more of an experienced gardener than a designer, but I really enjoy working with plants, and I think that's probably the thing I would call my passion.
I tell you what, I absolutely love that, especially about the houses that you've worked in, and certainly it sounds to me, though you've had that those qualifications, in a certificate, but you've had the experience on the ground, haven't you, Dean?
Absolutely, and I know sometimes we have that conundrum where people that design and put together gardeners have absolutely got the artistry and the sort of, they know how to make things look well, but perhaps don't always have the knowledge needed to think, well, what is it going to need in terms of maintenance? How do we care for this? Will this suit this soil particularly well? Is the aspect right? So I feel like I've got a little bit of that, John. From working with plants over the years, I think I've got a little bit of that under my belt.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to sort of trying to marry the two skills together and see what happens.
Dean, seriously, just give us your opinion. How important are plants in a garden?
Well, this might prove controversial, but I'm going to say it, John. I would argue that a garden without plants isn't a garden. So bear with me. I see gardens that are incredibly well put together.
Yeah.
And a level of skill I'll never ever be able to maintain. And sometimes I'm like, leaves me just a tiny little bit sad that these gardens just, I don't know, they're missing that final touch. It's almost like the icing sugar on top of the beautiful cake, that just a few plants softening the edges, giving a space a bit of height. I think, again, just to reiterate, the beautiful craftsmanship, it's incredible to see. And I like a lot of the posts on your Facebook channel. I just can't help but think, oh wow, they just had something in that corner there, just to add a little bit of a colour or a bit of texture or a bit of a form or a mass. And I just wonder if there's some way we can do that, some way we can, inject a little bit of really accessible knowledge, so some of the guys that might call themselves more of a landscaper might be able to just sprinkle that little bit of added benefit on for the customers.
Yeah, do you know, Dean, I think you're absolutely right. You're bang on there, and I totally agree with you 100%. The garden is not a garden. The gardens we're building now, unfortunately, when contractors, and this is my take on it, Dean, when contractors, I want you to talk, so I'm going to say this quick. When contractors go and see people, they haven't necessarily got the knowledge in place, because they're going out there to do a patio or a wall or a raised bed. But I strongly advise them to create pockets. What they got to try and do is, even if they don't know about the plants, in some respect, at least create the pockets for the plants.
Oh, absolutely, because you're setting yourself up for success. Because you could, I don't know, John. I don't know. I'm not a landscaper, but I know that if I was a landscaper and a customer asked me to do something new, I'd go and ask them that knew what they were doing. If I wanted to talk about show Suji, I'd come and see you. So. If you have a planting pocket or a bed or part of the garden that you feel would benefit from some plants, just tell the customer that actually I think we need to put some planting in there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to rush. I'm going to rush a suggestion, because the best suggestions aren't made that way. I'll go in, I'll get some advice on it, and then you come and speak to someone, a garden designer. I'm always happy to tell, John. I really admire what you do for the landscape industry in terms of always being there and accessible in terms of offering help. And again, similarly, I think if I can help with planting conundrums, send me a message. I'll do my best for you.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, just imagine now, a contractor has gone into a garden, and I always look at a garden when you go in through the garden gate or you're looking from the patio door. In the corners of the garden, you got these vista, these focal points that we're looking at, and also you have this horizontal fence. What can we do to sort of change by putting some vertical planting in, or whether we put some like a silver birch or an acer in the corner? Give us an idea what we can do, Dean. Give us an idea.
John, I love that question. I think it's really important that I think when you start to choose a plant, a tree or a shrub, it's very easy to go, I like the looks of this plant. Forget that. That's further down the line. For me, what you need to do is you need to go in and say, what effect am I trying to create? What is the shapes I'm trying to create? So imagine the outline, and it might be that if you want to look diagonally across the garden into the corner to get a long vista, yes, absolutely, perhaps a focal point. Now, let's say you've got something like a weatherboard fence, so you've got lots of strong lines going, up and down, and that's going to dominate. It's going to really, your eyes are going to do that. They're going to follow the lines of the fence. So to break that up, you could put something, something like a Cornish controversy, the wedding cake tree. It's a very horizontal plant. Its arms go almost level directly outwards, and that contrast between the lines of the fence and the lines of the plant and the arms, the boughs of the plant, add interest, and it just takes away some of the boredom. So that's a really good example of what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to break the fence up. What plant can do that? And then you can start thinking, actually, what soil do I have? What aspect is it? Will it be happy in the sunshade? Will it be happy in clay? Will it need access in some way so that we can maintain it and plant it, etc.? And once you've got all those conditions in place, then you can start thinking about the plant.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in college at Pershore, Dean, what they talked about was that, as people are listening to this now, and people will watch this later on, right? It's nothing to be frightened of. We don't have to worry about the gene, the species, or the variety. What we're talking about is bringing some colour into the garden. That's the first the first point that I want to try and make. So when we were in college, we were always told about the shrub layer, the natural shrub layer beyond the house, and how we can bring the shrub layer into the garden, isn't it?
Absolutely. So this, I think this links in with looking beyond your boundaries. So if you don't have trees within your garden, you can borrow your neighbour's tree. That's fine. And you just plant the bits in between. So I think, John, what you're referring to is that little bit of a gap that perhaps isn't filled by perennials, and then is left sort of empty before you sort of hit that canopy of the trees. So yes, filling that gap in between is really important. And I think, again, some of the things I like to think about is absolutely is colour. You know, can we have a colour that contrasts with the existing trees? But it's not just about colour. I think that would be reductive to just say colour. I think texture is also important. You know, I think the way I think about it, John, is if you're an artist, is your brush stroke going top to bottom, or is it going left to right? You know, is it lots of little brush strokes, or is it long, big, sweeping ones? And it's those differences that add interest to your planting. If you have small, short, fine-leaved plants that might grow horizontally next to something that's got a bit more of a fastidious, growth pattern, so something a bit more directly upright, like an Irish yew, for example, then you know you get that interest because the eyes have to go a number of different ways to sort of read the planting.
Yeah.
So that shrub layer, absolutely, John. You can fill it with texture, colour, different forms. Yeah, there's no limit. There's really no limit.
Dean, you know what you're saying is like, when I look back, Dean, over the years, and I've told this story before. I remember a customer coming back, and I was only a young lad at the time, and he come back and he said to me, he said, I carried out the work to a T, the brief, exactly what he wanted. It was a hard landscape building and walling, and he come in and he went, it looks like a car park. And I looked at it and I went, yeah, it does. So from that day forward, is that for me, the planting is massively key to the success of a garden. And, you know, you don't want to be, and I say this to people that are watching this now, potential contractors and consumers, because, Dean, is it the case that consumers don't know as well the benefits of having plants in the garden?
I think, John, they're scared. I really do.
Really?
I take that almost. Yeah, I think. Well, when I bear in mind, when I talk to people about plants, family members, friends, and they'll say, what would you plant there? And I say, well, what I would plant there is this. And the first question is almost always, how big will it get? How much looking after will it take? You know, will it block out the sun? How often do I have to prune it? And I think people are a little bit paranoid about investing in something that they might have to commit a bit of labour to.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a real pity, because I think there are plants that grow away, and you know, I think people are probably scared of, you know, the problems we had with the giant conifers
the meta sequoias and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Those, you know, and I think it's a real pity, because I think we missed out. And you're right. I think a garden can very much look like a two-dimensional box, and it, you know, and the way I like to think of it is like this. You know, if you had a living room that was empty but had a fantastic carpet in it, yes, it's clean, it's tidy, it's presentable, it's usable. But actually, as soon as you start putting in some shapes in there, like the couch, the TV, you know, perhaps a little bookcase, the room instantly becomes more interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with a garden. You do the hard landscaping, and if you can then put the next layer on, which is some of the planting, the room becomes infinitely more interesting, and it really inspires you to sit out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm going to tell you this, Dean. There's a lad called Carl Berry, who's a block paving layer, and I used to speak to Carl about plants, and he'd been doing driveways for years. And I said to him, just leave a pocket out, and he'd say to me, he said, John, but I'm reducing the amount of paving I'm laying, and he said, you know, that the price goes down. I said, well, yeah, but what you got to remember is, even if you put like a silver birch or a Sorbus acupera, you know, the Joseph Rocks, you know, and just add a little planting pocket and put a shrub in the garden, you're still making money. But this is the thing, what they don't realise is that you're selling more than a driveway, you're selling a front garden, which with those pictures later on, it just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again, John, I think it's a harder sell, because the guys that might call themselves more of a landscaper, you know, they know their business inside out, and they know how to sell it, and they know all the pitfalls and all the things that you need to price in, and where you're going to need to put your eco grates
I think, Dean, right, and I think we're onto something here, right, mate, between us, right? And I think how you start getting people to realise is that if a potential client had a number of pictures in front of them at different stages, and finished gardens or finished driveways, right, some with plants, some without plants, and how many of the potential clients would choose the ones with plants?
Again, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if people didn't choose the ones that have got some 3D elements to them. You know, I walk around my estate at night, John, with the dog, and I look in some gardens, and I look and I think, wow, that's tidy. There's a little clipped box hedge at the front. There's a square of grass, and there's a planter either side of the door. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's tidy. That's easily manageable for him. But for me, I think it's boring.
Yeah.
I think if they wanted to, for very little commitment to some maintenance, they could very easily just pop something in that space that almost looks after itself. You know, some wildlife shrubs, something like, you know, like a viburnum pinus or even a Davidii, you know, and you could contrast that with things like, you know, I'm going to talk some of the examples. I'll probably mention plants that are really easy to get at the nursery so that we don't get too scary with it. But, you know, this morning I just sat and brewed 2 or 3 sort of combos together, and I think 3 plants in a space could actually really change something. You know, so I know, John, you're a big fan of the silver birch, the betulas, the Jackmontii and stuff. You know, you planted that up with something like the Pfizer carpus with a deep purple leaf, and then even something simple like the regular white spirea. Those 3 plants together, you could play around with those, and you've got something at the tree level, at the sort of mid-canopy level, and something a bit lower down. You couldn't go into that perennial there. Very easy to get hold of, and you've got a nice sort of monotone palette that you could add colour on top of very easily without any clashes.
All right, here's one for you, Dean. I want to get in with this now. So, and I do like Jackmontii Youngii. Just imagine you put one in the corner of the. Tell me now if I'm wrong or if you think it's good. Corner of a garden. That you open the garden gate, you look in. You've got that nice. It goes nice, thick, white stem, and you can see it in the corner. Could you underplant it with like dogwoods, like Kesselringii, and then maybe some perennial bulbs, so that you've got the red stems coming up to Christmas, haven't you? And then you cut. When would you cut them back? The Kesselringii, the dogwoods. When would you cut them back?
So usually leave that until absolutely after you've got the benefit, and the main benefit of those the dogwoods or the Salix albus tubericum, which is a very similar, it's a plant used for a very similar reason. You do that just sort of springtime, just before things started coming to grow. And I always think with those, it's better to not prune the whole thing every year, because you're going to starve the plant. So it's better to thin, I think, each year, and then as soon as you prune, to give it a good general fertilizer, because that'll just help it recover. But yeah, absolutely. To your question, John, you know, you've got that signature tree in the corner, and there are lots of them. You know, it doesn't just have to be the Youngii, which is a fantastic tree, by the way.
Yeah.
It automatically pulls you right into that corner, and then you'll look up at the tree, and then your eyes will then settle on that mid-story, where you might have another shrub, you might have I don't know, you might have your viburnum pinus, you might have an acer or something that's just a slightly different colour, but then again your eye will drop further to the floor, and then before you know it, you're adding in perennial bulbs, you're adding in perennial plants, and you might have only got 4 or 5 different species of plant, but you've got season-round colour, season-round interest, you've got contrasted textures, heights, forms, shapes, masses. Your garden is infinitely more interesting than an empty box that's only got 2D elements.
Do you know, Dean, like listening to you now, if I can just imagine some of your customers when you go and see them, your enthusiasm and your passion is absolutely infectious. I absolutely love it. Can you tell our viewers now the benefits of a liquid amber? What's the benefits of a liquid amber in a garden?
Oh, John, liquid ambers, crack. I mean, it's just a lovely tree anyway. You know, you look at the foliage shape's quite nice in its own right. But I think the first thing I think when I think liquid amber is autumn here yet? Hurry up! I want autumn to be here, because the colour is just beyond stunning. And you know, if you've got that planted up, and you've got that somewhere near something, excuse me, something that will contrast or complement. So you've got that somewhere near some acers, some Japanese acers. You've got that near something like your ginkgo bilobas that have got more of a yellowy tone, or even think something like your regular sycamores, or something with a more contrasting colour. It's just so exciting. You get to that time of year, the season's nearly over. You've got a mixture of colours that really grab your attention. They demand it. They don't let you look anywhere else. So liquid ambers.
Yeah, so like Gladitsia tricanthus, that goes like an aureus yellow, doesn't it? And when we talk about plants like that, we talk about seasonal interest, don't we? Because we're looking at the bark, we're looking at the leaf change and the colloid, the starches. Tell us a little bit about the starches. What happens then when those leaves started changing colour, Dean?
Okay, well, what you're actually seeing is it's the pigments. So you've got your anthocyanins, you've got your carotenes, you've got your xanthophylls, and they're all different plant pigments that put colour into the flowers and the leaves during the year. Now, they're always there within the leaf, but at the end of the season, when the plant stops to have size, which is the process that it goes through to drop its leaves, it starts to retract back in some of the more mobile nutrients and plant colours.
And so they're going back into the tree to energise it for the winter, isn't it?
Absolutely, but what remains is what we see. So we see the red, which is the carotenoid, and the xanthophylls, and we see the yellows, which again is carotenoids. So they're left in there, and we get that benefit.
Oh, it's fantastic. Have you been to Western Burt Arboretum near Bath?
I have, but we were passing it. It was in winter, so I didn't get to see it at its best. But there are some fantastic old conifers in there, and I definitely need to go back again in autumn or spring.
Do you know, Dean, it's been great having you on. I'm not going to close you down yet, but because I think this is such a subject where it's so diverse. There's so much we can actually talk about. But look, if a customer was going to spend some money on a garden now, right, be it landscaping or hard landscaping or soft landscaping, obviously you'd go for the soft landscaping, but you've gone in there. Is it always a good idea to, if they're not sure about the soil type, is maybe to have a little wander around in the neighbourhood and just see what plants are growing in the neighbourhood?
John, it's fantastic advice for that. Yes, so there's two things I probably do, and I can show you how to do this at another time, but there's a really simple soil test you can do that doesn't need a science lab. But the other thing is, yes, the mechanism of just looking over the neighbour's fence and seeing what grows well. Just because it's growing doesn't mean it's growing well. But if you see that they've got a fantastic wisteria or a fantastic, like say, Sorbus orchipar, a Joseph Rock or something, there's a good chance it's going to work in your garden. So I always say, I think when you get a new garden, you want to give it a year. See the season, see what comes up, see what does well, what doesn't. But in that year, that's the perfect time to look around your neighbourhood and see what you like, and take photos, get them identified, and then you know what to put in your garden where, and what is, as you say, is going to be happy with your soil and altitude and all those things that are variables you might not know.
Yeah, Dean, I'm going to read a couple of the comments out from certain people here. But before I do that, I would like to say that if you're a customer or a consumer out there, right, it wouldn't take a lot to, give a gardener a ring and maybe pay for a consultation to come out before you have the landscaping work being done. I think that'd be great advice to any consumer out there. If you're thinking about having some landscaping work done, remember all those landscapers aren't necessarily gardeners or plants people, are they, Dean?
100%. And I wouldn't call myself a landscaper. I do not have the skill and knowledge that you guys do, but I would call myself a gardener and perhaps even a budding designer. But I do know for fact, actually, that a lot of designers tend to have a basic 1-hour consultation product, which it varies in price, but it might just be the thing that you need. If you've given a price on a job and you want to layer on that planting, you probably would only need the designer to come round and have an hour to look at your garden and say, I'm not going to do a design, we're not going to do a drawing, but if you want to plant in that corner, this will work. And what works well with that plant is this, this and this, etc. and so on and so forth. That might be the difference between you doing a really, really good job and and an outstanding job for your customer.
I'm going to tell you something now. I've actually just thought of this, Dean. What do you reckon of this? I think it's massively important to commission a gardener, because you could be having a slab laid in the garden, and even with porcelain, I might add, porcelain, that you could be putting a plant in your garden eventually that can actually stain your porcelain. So you need to know, or your sandstone, you need to know the effects of the plants that it can have on your paving. Isn't that important?
Yeah, I'm not going to profess much knowledge on that, John. That's probably something
Yeah, but
you'll have to look into a bit more. And I see all the time people asking how to get stains out on your face.
Yeah, but I'm not saying about that.
Advice.
But you could advise that with some of the leaves that drop on these patios, that there are tannins and tannins that come out of these leaves that could affect paving. So it wouldn't be necessarily a good idea to put that tree over that patio in some respect, is it?
Yeah, you could definitely back that into your thinking. So, for example, much like when you're planting around a pond, you try to avoid deciduous trees because you don't want them silting up the pond.
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
take a similar approach with your patio and perhaps not have trees too close or use more evergreens in that setting. So, yeah, absolutely, John.
Yeah, I get. Just going to read a couple of comments out there. Daniel Price says, I've been to Daniel's house. We're going to be doing a job for him soon. And he's got a very slopey bank. He says, as a consumer, the endless options of types of plants frighten us a little. Often we feel overwhelmed with what can be used in our garden. We then end up not planting anything in case it's not correct. Now, I know Daniel. Daniel's got a bit of OCD, a bit like me and a bit like all of us. And what Daniel's saying is that he gets a little bit overwhelmed because he's got a very steep bank. And when I've gone and seen him, Dean, I've talked about ground cover plants where, I've spoke about maybe having a little path tailing through the garden, going left and right. So it's a nice, easy transition. And when he makes those turns, he could put things like a few rocks and some saxifrage or some aubrietia cascading over the side. So that little turning point, you got a little vista to look at. But plants on a steep slope, what can we use, Dean? What can we use?
Did you say on a steep slope, John?
Yeah, it is. It's quite an adverse slope. So I was thinking like some sort of like, you got, is it Juniperus, not Scopularum, the one that the horizontalis, isn't it, that spreads across the bank and gives it some ground cover?
Yeah, I mean there are lots of plants, and I think steep banks. You immediately think of things like vinca, both major and minor.
Yeah,
they're quite happy.
Can you describe that for us, Dean? Can you, the vinca major, vinca minor? Can you just explain to our viewers what have we got there with the vinca major and vinca minor in respect to what they look like?
So they're sort of shrubby, small, relatively small leaf perennials. The common name is a periwinkle, and you get these beautifully sort of radially symmetric flowers. And the minor is a smaller flower, and the major is a slightly bigger flower. I think the reason they work so well on a bank is because you have to remember with a bank that you probably don't want to be mowing or trimming it. So whatever you put on there needs to really cover so that like horrible ryegrass and stuff can't come through. So things like the vincas, another plant that comes to mind is the Rubus Trifolium, which is, I think it's called Japanese bramble. It's a really glossy leaf, and that's a really good ground cover that it invades like the normal bramble, but it's a much better looking plant. So what it does is it just takes over, and then you don't have competition from your weeds. So that's another good one for a bank, I would say. And I wouldn't overlook something like ivy either. I think that could be a really good plant. There are lots of cultivars that can give you the colour, form, shape that you want.
What about that big?
It'll hold your bank up for you.
I'm going to impress you now. What about that big leafy ivy called Hedra colchica dentata variegata?
I think I know what you mean.
It's,
the colchicas are a much bigger leaf, and they tend to be a bit more pendulous, so they look like they're drooping down. But yeah, things like that. I think some will need more sun than others. Excuse me, and some are more climbers and some are more ground cover plants. So you need to just probably make that distinction. But I think if you went on something like the RHS Plant Finder and just put Hedera in, Hedera, which is the genus name, you will be amazed at how many come up. And there's there's almost one for every situation. And I guess the added benefit is that because they're seen as a native, the wildlife impact is just off the scale.
Look, we've got. I'm going to read out, Dean. Brilliant what you just said, and I am listening to you. I'm just reading stuff. The Motivated Gardener Gardening Channel says anyone not sure about plants, learn 3 plants a week, size, habit, soil, pH, flowers, etc. In 6 months, you will be fluent. How do we learn about plants? He's made a great point there that it can be quite easy, can't it, really? Even the gene, the species, the Latin names, and even the common names, can't it? If we apply ourselves and work hard at it, we can learn plants, can't we, Dee?
Oh, easy. I think if the Latin side puts you up a little bit, it isn't essential. Definitely start with common names if that's more comfortable for you. But what I'm going to say, John, I've got a book that I pulled off my bookshelf. I've not used it in a while, but I think it'd be a really good one to get people started. Do you mind do you think if I share the title and the author? It's not me, by the way. I'm not going to self-promotion.
No, not at all. No, it's fine. Fine.
It's a chap called, it's a really simple book called The Bed and Border Planner, and it's by a chap called John Walker. And what I like about this book is it's about the size of A4, maybe a little bit thinner, and it's divided into, each page is divided into 4 sections that you can turn independently, and they have the taller plants at the top, the mid-story just below them, subshrubs just below that, and then perennials at the bottom. So what it enables you to do is actually compare and contrast different plants next to each other and see how the colours interact, etc.
Right, okay.
It's a really good starter book.
And what's his name? What's his name, Dean? The Bed and Border Planner.
The Bed and Border Planner by John Walker.
John Walker. Let me just tell our viewers now, because even the ones that watch us later. So Dean's recommended The Bed and Border Planner by John Walker. And do you still look at these old books now, the ones you've had before? Do you still refer to?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I pulled a few off the shelf. I think for trees, a real good one for trees is Bartram's with the nursery.
Yeah,
catalog.
Bartram, yeah.
It's on, and I think you normally pay for it, but I think you can get a digital version for free at the minute if you go on their website. So that's always worth looking at.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, wouldn't it be good, Dean, if we could get some people together and have a plant day somewhere, wouldn't it? In a nursery or even a garden somewhere, wouldn't it? A big garden, and just like we used to walk around the gardens years ago. I remember at Pershore there was a gentleman called who taught us plants, was Duncan Coombs. And Duncan would walk around the gardens. And do you know, Dean, that was the most interesting part of the course that I ever done, was about the plants. It's something I should have done a long time ago, and I feel as if I will always be behind. But there's no shame either about not knowing a plant, is there?
Oh no, well, John, I've been in this game a little while now. I'm looking at plants on a daily basis still.
Yeah.
So I don't say that to put people off. And I think the book I just recommended, if you could just use that as your Bible for a while, that will give you a very, very good start. And then if you become a bit more obsessive like me, then you might want to learn the Latin and stuff, but that's not necessary.
You're not obsessive, Dean, surely.
Well, you better talk to my wife, because she might argue with you.
Dean, what are you working on at the moment? Tell us a little bit about what you're working on. Come on, tell our viewers what are you doing this week or next week? What have you got interesting looking forward? What's happening? What in the season now?
So today, just a bit of soil leveling and a bit of surfing for a friend. But at work, we're recruiting at the minute, so we're a bit busy. But I guess the exciting bits are we're right at that time of year where we're planting out all the seed-raised plants, so vegetables and annual and biennial flowers. We're getting the mowers going, we're getting the place tidy, we're pruning peaches and grapes, we're weeding a lot, which is always there. We're planting out things that will give us colour later in summer. We're moving around pots indoors, and I've got a couple of 3 projects that I need to actually design, which I'm massively excited about. I'm just trying to find the time to do it, but I've got an opportunity to design a small run of the pleasure ground at Clumber, which again is something that I'm hoping to plant in the autumn.
Do you know, Dean, I've actually loved having you on because I haven't had to say much. I think it's brilliant. Do you think you'd like to come back on again and have a regular slot as and when you're available?
John, I think you said earlier on that there are so many topics we could talk about, and yeah, I mean, if you give me a topic you want to talk about, I'm happy to come on and give you my views on it. No problem.
Well, where do we? I tell you what, how do we inspire people? Where do we start? Just before you go now, right? Just tell me, how can we? The people who are watching this now, right? And you were trying to sort of, if you were trying to inspire somebody to get involved in plants, what would you recommend? What would you do?
Oh, it's a really tough question, John, because it's different for everyone. For me, I love the artistry. I love seeing how things interact and how they make your eye and your body move and how they inspire you to use the space. But I think also how they make you feel. And I think it's something that we're a little bit detached from sometimes. And I think it's worth just taking a moment when you're looking at a view at a good old grand house, or you go to your grannies, the grannies have always got great gardens, and you're sitting there and you think, why am I so relaxed? What is it about this space that makes me feel this way? And I think plants are a massively important part of that process. So yeah, really hard to answer, John.
Yeah, we're really taking it for granted. I suppose that a way of maybe encouraging somebody is maybe vegetables, so they can eat what they grow. I suppose, isn't it? That's a start.
Oh, yeah, John, you hit the nail there. It's how I got into horticulture.
Right.
I think I can't put it into words. There's something about growing a plant from seed in ground that you've cultivated, nurturing it along to the point where you can eat it, and then sitting down and having a curry with your tomatoes and peppers in it. It's money can't buy stuff.
I love Dean. That was brilliant, honest. No, but it is though, isn't it? Alison's really. We've got two boxes there. We've got a little garden room, and I'd like to get you down there sometime in the future, and you can rip it to shreds and tell us where we've gone wrong. But Alice and I, we've got this little bistro table. We sit out there, and she started to plant her herbs up again, and the rhubarb's gone to seed. We've never moved that, but we're going to move it out and get some lettuce in there. But she's put a run of beans in. But is there nothing better at the end of the week when you've been working hard to sit in the garden with a glass of wine or a beer, wherever your spoil is, even if it's a bottle of pop, it doesn't really matter. But to sit there and watch the vegetables and watch the bees and the butterflies, isn't it?
John, again, Friday after work, you take your boots off. I always think taking my work boots off at the end of the week is the same feeling my Mrs. Fish gets when she takes a bra up at night to get in the shower. So I think
brilliant.
You sit down, put your feet up. You see your fruits of your labour growing along. You might pinch a few bits of herbs to put into your evening dinner, and like you say, to crack a bottle of something and chill out. It's just the best feeling.
Yeah. Do you know, Dean, we've got a massive... I got goose pimples on now at monks. I just love the plants. I really do. Like I said, I was brought up in the field. I was actually born in a pea field, Dean, and that's the truth. Born in a pea field. My family spent so much time working in the fields that we were farm workers. That's what we done. And I went off it for a while. But this is where I want to be. How can you and I, going forward with Instagram, Facebook, and the things that we do, can we have some sort of interaction, and not necessarily a challenge, because I'm learning from you, but just so I can bring things to your attention, and maybe we could get some comments on there and get more people involved. Maybe we could get a company to give some plants away. What do you reckon, Dean?
Yeah, I'm up for that, John. I mean, if I think an obvious place to start is, if you want me to, I can share my Insta handle, because I put quite a lot on there about plants, and it's usually quite seasonal as well. But I'm always happy to hook up and help. Like I said, I think if someone's got a planting conundrum, for example, I have this space, I'm laying 100 meters of porcelain and some paths and some access and a garage, but I need to just pretty the edges and find a way to get some plants in there. I think if someone could just say, look, it's south-facing, the soil is sandy, the customer has this much money, I'm happy to do some pointers, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's one for you. Dan Dawson of Proctor's Nursery wants to have an open day in August, I think, at Proctor's Nursery on Stoke-on-Trent. How do you fancy coming along and doing a slot there for us?
Yeah, depending on the day, because it's my birthday in August. But,
Well-
but yeah, absolutely, John, no problem.
We'll fit round you, mate. We'll fit round you. It'd be lovely to get you to come along and just hear you talk and maybe get 30, 40 people, contractors, consumers in front of you. And I'd love to see that. And I thoroughly enjoy it. It'd be fantastic. I hope that doesn't frighten you.
No, you can probably tell I've got a big mouth.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Do you know, isn't it the case people sometimes misunderstand people's enthusiasm and passion and gusto how they deliver things because it can be misconstrued in a funny way. Look, listen, John Ward says plants. I'm just reading what John Ward says. He's one of our regular viewers. He says plants and where they are placed can so enhance your patio and garden area. It can make or break your garden in the long term. Dean Wood, I don't know what to say, mate. It's been great having you on here, mate. I just don't want it to stop, but I am conscientious of the time that people's got to go. Thank you for joining, and I hope you can join us again.
Sure thing, John. We'll do it.
All right, bud. You take care. Can you just, if people wanted to sort of, what's your Instagram, Dean? You know, if people wanted to sort of just message you on Instagram or tag you in on something, what's your Instagram address?
So it's Untitled, so that's UTTER_TILTH.
Yeah. TILTH.
Yeah, or if you just search my name, which is DENE, Wood, the surname, that should come up as well.
Well, I want to get some people. I'm going to share your profile later and get people to sort of go to you. Dean, thanks very much for joining. Have a great weekend. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm absolutely blown away by your knowledge and everything about you. Thank you, sir. You're so kind.
My pleasure, John. Take it easy. Have a good one.
And you, bud. Take care. Wow, that was our Dean. Wasn't that good? I really enjoyed having Dean on there. Dean Wood, he's a gardener up there. He's worked at Chatsworth. What a pedigree. Absolutely fantastic pedigree. You can find him on Instagram, and it is Utter Tilth. So it's UTTER_TILTH. UTTER_TILTH. Let's see if we can get this. We'll see if we can get Dean's details in the description on the video when it goes live later on the channel. That was a mouthful. Look, thanks very much for joining. It's been wonderful having you on here. As per usual, your contribution to this channel is valued, and it's important that you keep sharing your knowledge and what you're doing. 73 minutes, we're well over on time, but it doesn't really matter. Love talking to you guys. Look, Utter Tilth, there we are. Dean Wood, Utter Tilth, he shared it. Dean, thanks very much. Joe, Dean, I really enjoyed that. But where do we start? That's what we need to do. Where do we start to encourage people to start thinking about planting? It's so important in the garden. It really, really is. Dean, if you're watching, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and all of you have a great weekend, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining, and be safe. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Clive. Bye, guys.